Welcome to another episode of Gram to Zodiac videos. Today we are going to look at the education sector, in particular actuarial studies. Now, in the last 10 to 15 years, the options we are giving our kids in what they can study has leapfrogged. Today we are going to look at one of those studies, which is not that popular yet, but it is very, very powerful and has been used by many industries, in particular insurance. We're going to meet Ms. Solai Valliappan, who has done actuarial studies and has been in the field for a few years now. And she's an actuary, as they call it.
You told me that you've done a degree in something that normal people don't. What was he talking about?
So I studied a Bachelor of Commerce, but I specialised in Actuarial Studies.
Sorry, what was that?
So Actuarial Studies. And so it's the study of maths to, how would I describe it? Using maths to price and analyse certainty and risk.
Right, so where do you apply it? Like what jobs and...
Typically it's been applied in insurance. So one example would be when you're buying your car insurance.
Right.
There might be some questions that you're asked, and the answers to these questions go into an algorithm which often actuaries will be calculating, putting all the variables in to assess what kind of risk you will be. So maybe you're under a certain age, so you haven't had as much experience on the road, so you have a higher chance of having an accident, so therefore you may have a higher premium.
Right, you said algorithm, so is like maths included in this?
Yeah, it's very maths heavy, so lots of my degree was a lot of maths, a lot of pattern matching, understanding how to use data, and because we're increasingly using more and more data, there's more and more, not just statistics, but also coding as well.
Right. How do you get into the course? Like, what else would you need to get into the course?
So I think you have to really, really enjoy maths and problem solving, and also applying concepts into different modes of applying concepts. Here in Australia, you can do degrees that specialise in it, but you can also do it via correspondence, either with the UK Institute or with the American Institute as well.
Right.
But even if you were to do the degree in Australia and finish it, there are still exams that you need to do after you finish through the Professional Institute to then have the qualification. And there's a really high fail rate with that. So it'd be, on average, the pass rate for some of those later exams are maybe 20 to 30%.
Wow, okay.
So you also have to be very tenacious and persistent.
Right. How do you differentiate between engineering and what you did?
So I guess in this respect, actuarial looks at more financial problems and financial analysis, whereas, say, if you compare it to civil engineering, the problems are about, say, a specific building and more tangible.
If I were to do the course, where would I help people in the society?
So there are a few different ways, but maybe I'll give the insurance example of where, so if you become an actuary or you're studying to be an analyst, you can go work for an insurance company. So my personal experience, I worked for a general insurance company, and that is not on, or it's also called non-life. So I didn't look at life insurance. I looked at car and building and marine, right. So all the other parts that are not life. And I worked in two different departments. In one period, I was doing the pricing. So that's assessing how much we should charge for the premiums and, based on the risks. Looking at the different risks and the types of feeding those risks into the models to work out pricing, and to make sure that we have enough money to pay the claims and also have a profit. Right. So finding that pricing point. And then I also worked on the reserving side, which was making sure that the company had enough money to pay those claims as well, because sometimes there's a delay between when a claim occurs and when payment is made. Right. Because there might be a delay, people might not contact the insurance company in time, so you need to make sure that there's enough money. And so you can use, I use my skill set to analyse and see the trends of how much money we should be keeping aside to make sure that we were able to pay claims.
What do you think the scope will be in the next 5 to 10 years?
I've already seen that it's increasing beyond, it always was beyond just life insurance and general insurance and health insurance. I'm seeing it increasingly in more data science kind of modeling, because as we're starting to generate more and more data, especially from the tech companies.
Yeah.
So you've got your Google and your Amazon, there's just so much data that you're able to see patterns through that too. So being able to apply that in that way. For me personally, I've moved into the investing side. So I'm using my skill set of patterns and analysis on the investing side. I'm looking at that in the private tech markets, but there are a lot of people who look at the public equity markets as well. You can also go into social enterprise if you want.
Where would I start if I wanted to do this course?
Where would you start? I would suggest there are quite a few institute websites you can go have a look at. So there's the Australian Institute, there's the UK Institute, there's the American Institute, and just they have a lot of resources. So and also a lot of resources, not just reading, but they'll have YouTube clips and other videos and podcasts that you can understand, I guess, the different areas you can go into.
Right.
Yeah, and understand there's a lot of material out there.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
yeah.
What is the scope for India in this field?
I'm not sure if there's a degree there for it yet, but I understand that at the moment, that I know a few people who have studied in India, they were doing it externally. So whilst they were working for a company, they were studying part-time with the UK Institute or the American Institute to get their exams.
Right. How hard is the exams? You were saying how there was so many exams.
They're really difficult. I was lucky in that I did quite a few of the exams whilst I was at the university, because I went to an accredited university where they matched the subjects with the topics you were meant to do if you were to do it externally.
Right.
So if you'd gotten the marks at university at a certain level, then you could have left university with a certain number of exams that you didn't have to repeat. But then after university, there's always a certain number that you just cannot finish whilst at university. So you have to do those externally. And they're called, in Australia, they're called Part 3 exams. And they were really, really tough. So on average, I would say the pass rate for the first 3 exams were 20 to 30%. And they only offer them every 6 months. So if you failed, you had to wait another 6 months. Yeah, so I failed quite a few of those. And then the last exam in Australia is, it's called Commercial Actuarial Practice, and that one is 8 hours long.
8 hours.
So it's for me, it was a case study where they gave data, they gave a problem that you needed to solve. So you had to analyze the data and then write a report over 8 hours. And that pass rate is a little higher, but I remember I had to sit that exam 4 times before, and that was the last exam for me.
Oh.
And again, that's only offered every 6 months. So that one took me 2 years to get.
Thank you, Akka. I haven't even heard of this degree at all. So thanks for, sharing your experience.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't know anything about it when I went into it. So I think it's great that there's so many more resources so that you can make a much more conscious choice.
Yes.
Into what you want to do.
Cool.
Hope this video gave you enough information to get started on this new field of study. All the best. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.